Hello, welcome to Geeking Out with Shad. I definitely need my coffee fix, and I'm noticing in the camera that it's looking. You ever notice that where the seam is on your coffee is where it's gonna leak? That's why I always turn this to the opposite side. Like when Starbucks gives me this, they'll have the little mouthpiece near that crack or that seam, and I always turn it. A little bit of advice for you there. Bonus advice, because this video is not about Starbucks cups or any coffee cup for that matter. It is about the charging experience of an EV. So, a lot of us, including myself, talk a lot about how great our cars are. We love our EVs, right? Driving an EV is a great experience. They're very impressive vehicles. Um, but one of the probably one of the larger YouTubers out there, Marcus Brownlee, he started a channel called Autofocus, and he just did a video like a day or two ago, talking about the charging experience. This is ruining electric cars. The charging experience is just as important as the car experience. So I will, and it's lagging way behind, he says. Um, I will put a link to this video in the description because it's really important to watch. And basically, I'm just going to repeat what he says, but I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience here too. So, the the charging experience that I've had, so I have a level 2 charger at home. So I do not use public chargers that often, but on my channel here just recently I did a trip to Wisconsin and I had to use an Electrify America charger. It was in a Walmart parking lot. I personally can't stand Walmart. It's just not one of those places I go. I don't like how they treat their employees, all that stuff, right? But it is what it is. There's chargers there. So I stopped at the EA charger, and when I got there, I pulled up and the screen was off, and I just kind of made this assumption maybe it goes to sleep, like our computer screens go to sleep, right? So I pulled in and went up there and touched the screen, and nothing happened. I was like, oh, this one must not be working. It must be out of order. Um, it was 17 degrees out, so it was pretty cold, and so I was like, okay, I'll move to the next one. So I got back in my car, moved over to the next one, uh, shut off my car. The screen was on, so I didn't notice that some of the screens were on and this one wasn't. Um, and so I was like, okay, this one must be working. I went and followed the directions, so it said to plug in the charger into my car first. So I went and did that. Then it prompted me to use either the app or the a credit card. And I initially went before I left. I knew I was going to stop at this charger, so I installed the Electrify America app, and I assumed that I connected my card. I don't know what failed there because I added a payment method and all of that. But when I got to the Electrify America charger and I selected to use the app and tried to put my phone up there, it told me that my card, I had no payment added to it. So I was like, oh, okay. So because it was cold, instead of going and figuring out how to add a payment to the app, I just went, okay, I'm just going to charge with a card. But I had to unplug my car and kind of reset the whole process. There might have been a way on the screen to go back, but I didn't see it. Plugged the car in, then it asked me, I selected credit card, put my card up to it, and or stuck it in the slot, I don't remember. And then it told me that my card was declined. And I'm like, well, that's odd because I know I have money in my account, like, right? And I was using my debit card. So I pulled out another credit card, a regular credit card, put it up there. It said it was declined. So I'm like, this is weird. By this time, I'm starting to get a little cold. So I call the help number on the machine, and get somebody on the phone. It didn't take too long. I'd say maybe 2 minutes before somebody got on the phone. And I started explaining my problem. They wanted the number of the charger, so I gave that to them. And they were taking forever to find the charger, find out where I was, look up the number. And I was like, man, this is kind of a pain how long it's taking the person to help me out. And I was explaining what the problem was. And the person didn't seem very experienced on the other end. It wasn't like a tech person that understood the process and was able to like understand what I was saying. They seemed kind of like they didn't understand what I was saying. So it was very interesting. So while I was waiting for them to look up the charger, I thought, well, I'm just going to move the car over and try another one just out of curiosity. So I moved my car over another slot while I was holding on the phone. Plugged my car in. It prompted me for app or credit card. I selected the credit card, put my card in, and it just worked seamlessly. So that was my experience. So I'm an early adopter of EVs, and I'm willing to go through the extra pains that it takes. And there's a few of us out there, quite a few of us. But for the general population, and this is kind of what Marcus was pointing out, they're going to struggle. Like, so his example was this woman he had to help out with that had a Tesla, and she didn't realize there was an adapter needed because she wasn't at a Tesla charger. She was at a different one. So she didn't even know there was an adapter in the trunk that she has to put on. And then when she did get everything hooked up, it wouldn't work. So, like, it's one of those things where this charging experience needs to be a good experience for people to embrace EVs. So, yeah, they might have this cool car, but if they can't charge it and make it work for them, and that charging experience is super frustrating, people are already concerned about the amount of time it takes to charge. Well, I wasted almost, 15 minutes before my car started charging. That could have been 15 minutes my car was charging, right? So it's kind of frustrating to see that they're not putting this focus on the charging network. Now, if we talk about Tesla, Elon, this is where the genius part comes in with him, is he understood in order to make these cars become a mainstream thing, the charging network has to be excellent. And so that's why the supercharger network for Tesla was so important for the success of Tesla. Now we have all these other manufacturers just making electric cars that aren't Tesla charger compatible, nor does Tesla they don't let other cars charge at their chargers yet. So they haven't put the charging infrastructure and network is kind of an afterthought for all these other car manufacturers, and that's a problem. So he pointed that out. I'm pointing it out. VW, who owns Electrify America, or has a big stake in it, however that works. EVgo, ChargePoint, all these companies. I hope you're listening. As is like General Motors and what is it now, Stellantis or whatever, who owns Chrysler nowadays. I can't keep track of it all. Kia is a big one, right? All of you car companies need to really be paying attention and realize that the charging network is going to be what makes this successful. The cars are already pretty awesome, and they're just going to get better, but without a good charging network, it isn't going to work. People like me who own a home and can have a level 2 charger in their garage, by all means, have at it. That's awesome, especially if you just do a lot of commuting in your city or whatever. It's super awesome, and I never have to go to a gas station and so on and so forth. That being said, I do have a Toyota Tacoma, and I did have to put gas in it the other day. And my experience putting gas in my Tacoma wasn't all that great, and it usually isn't. And this is also like, it's not like we could just criticize uh, EV charging without at least looking at the experience of filling gas. And I notice it more and more because before I had an EV, I just put gas in my car all the time. It was just the way I did it, so I wasn't really aware of kind of the pain in the butt about it, right? Um, but now that I own an EV and I rarely ever have to go put gas in my truck because I don't drive it that much. I might put gas in it once a month, if even that. And so um, I went to put gas in it the other day, and the gas station's on a corner, and there's a center island blocking me from being able to pull in uh, the part of the gas station I would like to. So I had to turn left first through the intersection and then turn right into the gas station where it's all congested. All the pumps were full, which I see quite a bit, actually, believe it or not. Super busy. And so I had to wait, and so I'm like in the way of people getting out of the pump, so I pulled over to the side a little bit. Well, now I have to kind of like how am I gonna get a spot as soon as it becomes open before somebody else? So now there's this race of who's gonna get the next open spot, and so a car pulls out in front of the car that was in the spot that I could get to, and so that car was blocking me from being able to go around it and get in. Again, it's Minnesota. We have these big snowbanks right now, so it kind of limits everything. So I'm waiting for this other car, and the person comes out, gets in it, and they just immediately start texting on their phone. To me, people that do that, they're doing it as a power trip. If you're one of these people that gets in your car and you're at a parking spot and it's busy and people are waiting for parking spots, or you're at a gas station and your first thing is to get on your phone and text and message, that's a power trip. Something's wrong with you. You're being very disrespectful. And most people that are doing that are doing it on purpose because they want to have that control, that power, and make people wait for them, right? There are people out there like that, and so this person gets in and they start messing around on their phone. Super annoying. And then they finally pull out, and so I'm like, okay, I can get in there now. So I pull in, and just as I'm starting to pull in, a car right off the street coming up the other way so they could take a right into the lot is like aiming for that spot that I've been waiting for. So I have to accelerate and block them from taking the pump, and they give me this gesture, and it's like, well, whatever, right? Like, so I finally get in there and I shut my truck off, and I open the door and get out, and this is a thing that you'll notice more the less and less you go to gas stations. The smell. I get out and I'm just like, oh my gosh. There's a reason they don't want you smoking cigarettes or leaving your car idling or whatever. The smell is pretty strong. It's just gasoline and fumes and whatever. So I get out, do the whole thing, listening to the blaring, video playing with some stupid ad that I could care less about. Put the nozzle in my truck and fill it up. Then I get out, end my transaction, get in my truck, and just before I am going to leave, I can still smell gas, and I smell my hands, and my hands smell like gas. And it's just like, okay, so I'm leaving, and I have to like weave around and avoid cars because everybody's trying to get at the pumps, and I finally get out of there. It was not the greatest experience. I'm like thinking about what my experience at Electrify America versus my experience getting gas, and I'm like, I will take the Electrify America experience. Thankfully, it wasn't super busy there, and they had like 8 charging stations. But no, getting gas it's one of those things people are just so accustomed to doing, and that whole like fiasco at the pumps and everything, that they don't think twice about it. But once you start not having to do that, when you have to go put gas in your car, it suddenly becomes this annoying chore. It's like, oh, I got to go to the gas station and deal with, and they're not set up all that great, unless I'm out on a road trip and I pull in and they have like just a massive amount of pumps and everything. That's the only time that I really able to just like pull in, get my gas, go in, get some snacks, come out. That's pretty convenient. But in the city, going to the little local gas station, it's always a fiasco. It's always frustrating. I don't know. I hate to use the word, but it's just kind of like the people that hang out there, or the people going in and doing their lottery tickets and stuff. I don't know. It's just not the greatest experience to me. Anyway, so that's that. That's what I wanted to talk about. Is the charging experience is equally as important. Go watch that video by Marcus Brownlee. Good stuff. I really like his channel, so it's autofocus. Subscribe to him, whatever. If you like EVs, you'll want to subscribe to him because he is one of the better YouTubers out there. Like, my little channel is nothing compared to what that guy does, although he has professional video people and a whole studio and everything. But yeah, very impressive. I appreciate your support for my channel. Please like and subscribe. Peace.